Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello.
Yes, thank you.
Hello,
I'd love to have
hello.
you. Yes, very glad to have you. Welcome you.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yes, we're seeing the video and we're hearing you. Are you hearing us?
I'm hearing you just fine.
Okay, that's beautiful. And so we're going to talk about building energy and moving it.
Okay, so can we start again? You are holistic living with Oshun.
Yes, listening to Holistic Living with Oshun on Lion Rock Radio.
On Lion Rock Radio in Jamaica, in South Lamar. And it's part of the Barry G Show. .com. The BarryGShow.com. And you are Oshun, and you are interviewing Dr. Love. And today's topic is how to move energy or how to create energy.
That's right.
Right. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. So people ask me all the time. People ask me all the time, how do I get more energy? That's the question. How do I get more energy? And you asked me that question like a week ago, and I gave you an answer. And then you called me back and you said, I need more clarification. And then I gave you more of an answer. And then you said, can you come on the radio and break that down for me? And I said, absolutely. So I'm going to ask. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, what did I tell you was the first way to create energy? Because I know you took copious notes.
Okay, so we talked about being in nature. Being in nature, breathing.
Okay, so there's 5 sources of energy that you get. So number 1 is energy of the cosmos. That's fresh air and sunshine. The second one is electromagnetic energy from the earth. The third one is radiation from the sun. And those 3 things all come from being in nature. Now, if we knew African medicine, if that was actually part of our awareness, then we would know that the medicine man would say, go sit by the river under a tree. That's what he would say. And then if you were really sick, he would say, get in the water. And that's the whole concept of being baptized, is getting in the water to wash away your sins. Now, what is a sin? A sin is not understanding how to be in harmony with your environment. So as little children, we are like a bull in a china shop. We're pulling and tugging and pushing and screaming and throwing tantrums. And through the interaction with the elders and the grandparents, we learn decorum. We learn how to act in public. We mind our manners. We speak when spoken to. We don't interrupt people who are talking. So we learn these socialization things, but somehow in the modern world, we forgot how to be in harmony with nature. And that was the first answer that I gave you. Now, there's 2 more ways to source energy. Well, the number 1 obvious way is your genetic potential. That's the energy that your mother and father had at the moment of your conception. Wow. Okay. So if you're the firstborn of an Olympic swimmer mother and a tennis champion father, you can pretty much eat crappy food, live in the woods, and you'll be fine. But you could be the 5th born child of a drug addict mother and an alcoholic father, and you could eat sprout sandwiches and live in the gym, and you're still going to look like death warmed over. So consequently, you're limited by your genetic potential. Now, here's where Qigong comes in. Qigong can mitigate the negative genetic potential. In other words, you don't have to go down the tubes. You could actually rise in self-healing and love. And that's where Qigong shines. So those are the 5 sources of energy. Now, what is it that we have forgotten is that sleep is important. Now, there's physical rest, then there's mental rest. Now, your brain has what we call a waking state, which is about 9 to 18 cycles per second. That's what we call beta. Then when we go from 8 to 11 cycles per second, that's what we call alpha, or the hypnotic state, or the dream state. And then we go from 4 to 8 cycles per second. That is theta, that's the healing or the genius state. And then the 0 to 4 cycles per second, that's the delta or the deep sleep. So the brain waves have to literally slow down. Now we need 1 hour of delta and 4 hours of physical rest. You really only need 5 hours of sleep. But because we suffer from unresolved conflict, because we suffer from future fear, future worry, it doesn't allow the brain to slow down. It doesn't allow the nervous system to slow down. It doesn't allow the heart to slow down. It doesn't allow the lungs to slow down.
Well, that's a lot of organs, Dr. Love. I just want you to check. That's a lot of organs that are out of order, out of balance.
Exactly.
So it's going to have a negative impact and create disease.
And that's why we don't have any energy. So if you are tossing and turning at night due to unresolved conflict, that's past anger, future fear, future worry, then you can't get any rest, no matter how many hours you spend in bed. And that is what is causing the problem. And that's why you have no energy. The second cause is lack of blood flow to the brain. Now, silly question, Oshun. How does the blood get from the heart to the brain?
Don't we have veins?
Veins take the blood back to the heart. Okay, I'm going to give you the answer. It has to go through your neck. The blood to the brain has to go through the neck. Now, what if you spend a lot of time on your cell phone, Oshun? What if you spend a lot of time in front of your computer, Oshun? What happens to your neck?
You're going to create blockages there.
You're going to create blockages in your neck. And then that means the blood can't get to the brain. And if there's a deficiency of blood to the brain, then there's a deficiency of blood oxygen and a deficiency of blood nutrients. And if you don't have enough oxygen and nutrients going to the brain, how's your decision-making capabilities doing?
Poor.
Really poor. And this is why we are not thriving. We're not thriving. Okay? So, guess what I did? Go ahead, ask your question.
Dr. Love, we have to, at some point, address wearing masks, because that is not giving us proper fresh air and chi energy.
We are not going to address. We're not going to address wearing masks. We're not going to do that in this radio show.
Okay, but we're going to get plenty fresh air, though, to get the oxygen to the brain.
Okay, so this morning, I taught Qigong at the beach at 7:30. The beach was deserted. As we were leaving the beach at 9 o'clock, there was 10, 15 people coming onto the beach, all wearing masks. Now, silly question. If we know that the virus is transmitted person to person, and we're supposed to be 6 feet apart, then why wear a mask at the beach? Why wear a mask outdoors?
Well, the brain isn't getting enough blood, so an oxygen, it can't think.
Okay, so that answers that question. So after we did our Qigong at the beach, I went in the water for 20 minutes. The sea was like glass. And if you go to Facebook, if any of the listeners, and you don't have to belong to Facebook to go to Facebook, and you can go to Blue Dragon Qigong Academy, you will actually see the Qigong class, and you'll see the beach and the water and the sky, okay? So I'm inviting all of your listeners to go to Facebook page, Blue Dragon Qigong Academy. It's a group, Blue Dragon Qigong Academy group on Facebook. You don't have to belong to Facebook to watch that video. Today, it should be the last video or the first video that you see. And the sea was like glass. So we went swimming in the water. So now I have cultivated enough oxygen that I've stored in my lungs, my kidneys, my conception vessel, my governing vessel, my wrist, and my ankles. So I've cultivated and stored the qi from doing the qigong exercise and the swimming. So if any of your listeners are interested in learning how to do that at home in the privacy of their backyard, front yard, side yard, front porch, back porch, rooftop, or local park, and you don't need to wear a mask in any of those particular places, then you can go to loveqigong.com, LOVEQIGONG, loveqigong.com, and register and join the online class that's there. And that's how you can.
Everyone to do that, Dr. Love.
You're going to encourage everyone?
Encourage everyone listening to do that.
Okay. So, so here we are doing the very thing that builds the immune system. And the reason why I started this Qigong class online was because people kept calling me on the phone saying, how do I build my immune system? How do I boost my immune system? What can I do to prevent catching this stupid virus? And I said, you got to do Qigong. And they said, well, how does that work? And I said, the lymphatic system was just discovered January 2017, goes into the brain. And the medical textbooks up until that point said that the lymphatic system ended at the jawline. The textbooks do not have the lymph system going into the brain. And so they discovered that exercise pumps lymphatic fluid into the brain, which turns on the immune system. And that's why I asked you the question, how do you get blood to go to the brain? Because it is the same how you get lymph fluid into the brain. How do you get cerebrospinal fluid into the brain, which actually lubricates the brain and the eyeballs and the spinal column? And at the base of the spine, there's a pump called the sacral pump that pumps the fluid back up to the brain. So if you sit too much, stand too much, drive for a living, stand for a living, work at a computer desk for a living, work in a call center for a living, any of those things cause you to restrict not only blood flow, blood oxygen, nutrients, but cerebrospinal fluid literally dehydrates, and it all sits at the base of the spine. So you have to do the Qigong. So the reason why I called you earlier and asked you if we could video this because I wanted to show the listeners a particular exercise. Now I can talk them through it, and maybe you can show them some kind of way on your Facebook page, your personal page, your whatever page you have. But I know that you know the lymph swing because I taught it to you. It's also sometimes called the swing arms. But you start with going up on your toes, bending your knees, rock back on your heels. Then we do palm up, palm down. Then we do chin down, chin up. And then we combine those three movements into one thing. And therefore, the lymph swing pumps the lymphatic system, increases cerebrospinal fluid, and also lubricates the brain.
Okay, Dr. Love, would you kindly just adjust your camera so that we can see you, and show us how to do that again, please?
Okay, so you want me to adjust my camera? Okay.
Yes, and show us how to do that
movement
again, and we'll try to capture this.
Okay, we're going to try to capture this. So we're going to start with the feet first. Okay, so up on your toes, bend your knees, rock back on your heels. Up on your toes, bend your knees, rock back on your heels. Up on your toes, bend your knees, rock back on your heels. Now, palm up, palm down, bend the knees, rock back on the heels. Palm up, palm down, bend the knees, rock back on the heels. Okay? Now, the third part is chin down, chin up, chin down, chin up. Okay? Now, you may not be able to get it right away because, like I said, there's three different parts to this. Okay, no, palm up, palm up, palm up, palm down, bend the knees, rock back on the heels. Palm up, palm down, bend the knees, rock back on the heels. So Oshun came to my Qigong boot camp for a week, and she had an absolute ball, and she has forgotten some of the moves, not all of them, but she forgot a few. But she remembers more than she forgot.
Yes, you just need to utilize the videos to remember.
Right.
You just need to utilize the videos.
Okay, so the trick is if you go to loveqigong.com and register, then you'll be able to. If you go to loveqigong.com, you'll be able to
join the class.
Join the class. Okay. So, yeah, let's try that. Let's try that.
There's the facebook.com/Blue Dragon Qigong Academy is where you can watch videos. The video of what their class did this morning on the beach. It's facebook.com/Blue Dragon Qigong Academy. QIGONG for Qigong. You can watch the video there. And you can learn some new Qigong techniques for bringing more beautiful energy, Qi energy into your system, and definitely to the brain. Instead of grabbing another cup of coffee, do some exercises.
Okay, so that's where we are. So how do you build Qi is through body drumming. Okay, so now what is body drumming? So let's say I had pain in my shoulder. I could there we go. I could do this. Now that's pretty hard. You can hear that sound, right? That's pretty hard.
It's very loud.
Okay. So that penetrates through the skin layer, through the fascia layer, through the energy layer, and into the bone layer. So there's 4 layers that it goes through, okay? Now, that breaks up any stagnation, chi stagnation or blood stagnation, so that energy will flow. And that's our objective, okay? That's our absolute objective. Okay, so the next step is then to brush the area. So after we drum it, then we brush it. And then as we brush it, we're going through the fascia layer. Okay.
So the fascia is like a smooth layer underneath the
underneath the skin, between the skin and the muscles is the fascia.
Yes.
Like connective tissue, like the white stuff. If you've ever cut yourself, okay. Yes. So then there's the brushing, okay, and then we make little, and then we can do that. That gets down into the energy layer.
Sometimes, Dr. Love, the body brushing could be, can you use a brush, an actual dry brush?
You can actually use an actual dry brush on your skin. Absolutely. That is perfect. Okay. So that is another way that we can move energy. Now, I want to go back to sleep for a second. Now, if we go back 500 years, at what age did people get married? 25, 20, 18, 16?
No, I believe earlier.
Earlier. So somewhere between 13 and 15 is when people got married 500 years ago. Because the average lifespan was only 35 years.
Wow, yes.
And the reason why people died is because of gum infections, because they hadn't invented toothbrush and toothpaste and mouthwash. So people got gum infections because they didn't know how to brush their teeth, and then they died. So 35 was lifespan. So people got married 13, 14, 15. Okay. Now, when you get married, what's one of the many benefits of being married is cuddling at night. I'm not talking sex, nothing to do with sex. I'm just talking cuddling. Now, when you cuddle, you're accidentally doing acupressure. When you're cuddling, you're brushing or petting your partner. So what are you doing? So when you brush your partner, you're stimulating the interstitial fluid, which is part of your endocrine system, which turns on the hormones, which turns on your immune system. So cuddling at night with your partner and petting your partner turns on your immune system. Now, how come this is not common knowledge? Nobody knows this. Now, March.
This is a disaster for social beings, Doctor.
This is a disaster, right? So March of 2018, they discovered a new organ called the interstitium. And the interstitium is the interstitial fluid plus the connective tissue plus the fascia. Now, they knew the fascia, they knew connective tissue, they knew interstitial fluid, but they didn't know that the 3 interacted as one system until March of 2018. And they didn't know that the interstitial fluid was part of the endocrine system, which is the hormones. Now, your husband comes behind you and he strokes your arm. How do you feel? Turned on? or creeped out?
Yes.
Turned on,
Turned
absolutely.
on.
Your
Tactile.
grandfather comes up behind you and strokes your arm. How do you feel?
Loved.
Loved, comforted, exactly. So that feeling is actually a hormone. And that goes to the brain, to the pituitary and the pineal, and says, I am loved and respected and desired. And click, my immune system comes on. Wow. This is
tremendous.
This should be common knowledge. So that is a benefit of being married. So I don't want to go into the other socialization process because that's cultural, depending upon the Jamaican point of view versus the Trinidadian point of view versus the Dominican Republic point of view. You know, each island has its own cultural aspects of relationships and marriage and sex and what have you. But this has nothing to do with sex. This is just cuddling in bed at night. That's all I'm talking about. That's how you create positive energy. And when you know someone loves you, respects you, desires you, that you trust, when you wake in the morning, how do you feel? You feel great.
Energized.
Exactly.
Ready for the day.
Before the day. But if you have an argument with someone and you go to bed mad and you turn back to each other and you're all crunched up, angry, holding in your feelings instead of being open and having your heart open, and there's no cuddling, then what do? You weaken the energy. And I've been in a loveless marriage for 3 years where I slept right next to the person and never had sex with them. And you have no idea how painful that feels to the body. And even though we never had an argument, we just realized this was not working. And then we had a very amicable divorce, and we're still friends to this day. But not everybody is as lucky as us. So what I'm suggesting is, if you find somebody that you feel compatible enough to sleep with, treasure that person, honor that person, respect that person, and hopefully they can touch you in a way that you feel trust. And that will give you energy.
That's powerful. May I just say that it's a beautiful gift. Thank you so much, because as social beings, there's certain things that we need. Babies need love and cuddling. And so when we get older and we're in relationships, we also need the same kind of, as you said, the cuddling, and we need, as you say, when we are in that sleep mode, we certainly can do something very simple. You know, just go into that mode, that cuddle mode, and that can do a lot more good than, than not trying.
Mm-hmm.
So those are positive ways you've shown us to accumulate energy, and we are grateful for that. And then you went into the scientific, you broke it down for us, where we can really understand how the tactile element, that's one of our senses that we often don't think about, how powerful the touch is. But it is the source of our humanity. And so when we have to distance ourselves, it is truly a challenge.
Exactly. So I'm really, really happy that you gave me this opportunity to share with people how to create energy.
And, if any lucky person is listening and they want to send in a text and get a free book, 954, the number is 876-954-02 No, I may be given the wrong number. So WhatsApp is 876-486-6272. 486-6272. All right, so that will be great. Next week, we'll give away some of the Living Life is a Sacred Practice book. Dr. Love, it's a good idea just to take a break and we'll just remind people how to find you. We did mention the facebook.com, Blue Dragon Qigong Academy. You can watch the video of this morning's activities. And then you encourage them to go to loveqigong.com and join the program there. And then you're on LinkedIn. Well,
I'm on IG.
Handles? IG.
I'm on IG, Dr. Chi Love, and I'm also on YouTube, Dr. Chi Love. So if anybody's on YouTube, they can pick this up on YouTube, and you can actually see this interview. So what I decided to do, Oshun, was to do a YouTube live. And I put you on speakerphone, and hopefully my microphone is picking up your voice. And your voice, I can't get your face, but at least I got your voice. And we'll figure this out.
Thank you. So we'll bring the healing message to all listeners through all platforms. We're really grateful for that hookup and for the technology that's bringing us closer together as one world, right? With one love, one unconditional love that we're bringing to humanity. And so the topic is a beautiful healing one, and started with going in nature and staying in nature, and going into the element hydrotherapy, being in the water, swimming, and the Qigong movements. And so that's what people need to see. They need to go online to see the movements so they can begin to learn. Qigong is not as prevalent here as yoga is in Jamaica. So yes, they are appreciating you. I know persons on WhatsApp in my Mahat Sisterhood group, they said, it's a pity we couldn't see last week's session where you showed us how to have a small waist. And I think people would love to know that again. And I think you said that we were to do roller skating, that movement, 600 times.
That's
so
great.
People are still doing it from last week. They're still doing those movements, counting up to 600, or they lost their count. They slowed down. They probably had a mango juice, and then they started again. Well, it's good to have discipline. When we have discipline, then we can be healthy, and we can get the look that we want for our bodies. We can shape our bodies naturally, effortlessly almost, by doing the Qigong movement. People, this prevents you from having to go to the doctor. Your food and your movement becomes the doctor. The body, the body is the pharmacy. It is the healer.
Right.
We simply just need to know how to treat it, what to put inside.
That's all we got to do, is we have to learn how to nourish the body. So when we're talking about energy, we need the sleep and we need the movement. We need the cuddling, and then we need the self-care. We need to be in nature. And then the last thing that I forgot to mention was dancing.
Oh, yes.
So
dancing.
That's the last part of what it takes to build energy, is you have to go dancing. So
well, they have to say that next week so they can get something free. Maybe you can give us something to give away. If they can remember 2 or 3 out of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Heart,
lung, liver, spleen, kidney, chi, kidney, gin, Heart, lung, liver, spleen, kidney, chi, kidney, jing. 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 Blue dragon, she gone.
You're supposed to touch every part.
Every part of the body.
Is body drumming.
Liver's on the right, spleen's on the left, heart's in the center, 2 lungs, 2 kidneys. So I believe everybody should know anatomy and physiology. You should know 2 sentences about each organ, and you should know where each organ is. And as you touch each organ, you feel comforted in touching those organs. That's what's going on.
Absolutely beautiful. And there are, in Qigong, there are some sounds that the organs, we can emit to heal those organs as well. Like for the heart is, and there's shh. So we want to do that next week.
You want to do that next week? Okay.
Yes, how to incorporate that. And so we have come to a time now where we have to say goodbye. Parting is such sweet sorrow, Dr. Love.
Uh-huh.
But until next week, we say one love, one heart.
One love, one heart.
Fill up with the chi energy. Be in nature, body drumming, self-care, sleep, movement, and dance. Blessed love.
Blessed love. So that was the end of my interview with Holistic Living with Oshun. We're going to save this as a Ask Dr. Love podcast. How do you get more energy? So thank you all for watching, and tune in to anchor.fm for the other podcasts. I'm Dr. George Love for Ask Dr. Love.